My name is Alisha. I am 23 years old. I was born in a small town in India. When I was a child, America was like magic to me. I saw beautiful pictures in magazines and on television, tall glass buildings, clean roads, happy people with big smiles, and streets filled with bright lights at night. Everyone around me said the same thing. America is the land of dreams. If you go there, your life will be perfect. I believed them. I believed it with all my heart. I remember sitting on the rooftop of our house on warm summer nights, staring at the stars, imagining myself walking in New York City, wearing a smart dress, holding a coffee in one hand and a bag in the other. I imagined living in a beautiful apartment, going to college during the day, and enjoying my evenings with friends from all over the world. Back then, I thought America had no sadness, no poverty, no pain. In my mind, everyone there was rich, happy, and free. So, I worked hard in school. I studied English every single day. Sometimes I stayed up late at night, reading English books, even when my friends were sleeping. I wanted to be ready for my big dream. Finally, last year, my dream came true. I got a student visa to study in New York City. I will never forget the day I boarded the plane from Delhi. My mother hugged me so tightly at the airport that I could feel her tears on my shoulder. "Take care of yourself, Beta," she whispered. My father gave me a small packet and said, "Open this only when you feel lonely." I smiled and promised them, "I'll be fine. I'll make you proud." When the plane landed in New York, my heart was racing. The airport was massive. The air smelled different, cold and fresh. I could hear people speaking English in every direction. Everything felt fast. As the taxi drove me to my rented room, I looked out of the window at the tall buildings, flashing billboards, and busy streets. I thought to myself, this is it. My new life begins now. In the beginning, everything felt magical. The streets were alive with energy. There were shops everywhere, restaurants from every country, and people from every culture. I saw food I had never tasted, clothes I had never worn, and technology I had only seen in movies. My first night in New York, I stood by the window of my small room, looking at the city lights. I thought, this is paradise. But slowly, little cracks began to appear in that beautiful picture. I started to see another side of America, a side no one had told me about. The first problem was money. I knew America was expensive, but I didn't realize how expensive. The rent for my tiny room, just one bed, one small table, and a cupboard, was more than my father's monthly salary back in India. Food was costly. A bus ticket cost more than I had expected. Even a cup of coffee was 2 or 3 times the price I had imagined. My savings disappeared quickly. I had to find a job to survive. I got a part-time job in a small cafe. My shift started in the evening and ended late at night. I cleaned tables, washed dishes, and sometimes served coffee to customers. At first, I thought it would be easy, but after standing for hours, my feet hurt. My hands smelled of soap and coffee. When I came back home at night, my back ached so badly I could barely sleep. One night, after my shift ended at midnight, I walked home alone. The streets were dark and almost empty. I could hear my own footsteps echoing on the pavement. Every shadow made me nervous. In India, people walked together at night, talking and laughing. Here, I felt completely alone. It was during one of these late-night walks that I saw something that broke my heart. A man was sitting on the sidewalk, wrapped in an old blanket. His hair was messy, his face tired. He looked at me and asked, "Do you have $1?" "I am hungry." I hesitated for a moment. I didn't have much money myself, but I gave him the little change I had in my pocket. He smiled weakly and whispered, "God bless you." From that night on, I began to notice more and more homeless people in the city. Some slept under bridges. Some lay on the sidewalks, using newspapers as blankets. Some were talking to themselves. I realized that even in the land of dreams, there were people who had lost everything. The next challenge was loneliness. In India, neighbors visit each other without asking. We eat together, we share stories, we celebrate festivals like family. But here, life felt different. Everyone was busy. People walked fast, looking at their phones. They didn't make eye contact. They didn't smile at strangers. Some days, I felt invisible. I missed my mother's voice calling me for dinner. I missed the smell of her cooking, the warm spices, the fresh chapatis. I missed my father's gentle advice and my brother's silly jokes. One winter night, I sat alone in my room, looking out at the city lights. Cars moved quickly below, but I felt still. That was when I realized you can be surrounded by millions of people and still feel completely alone. Then came the culture shock. Back home, I dressed modestly and followed certain traditions. Here, life was more open. People spoke about things we never discussed back home. They dressed differently, and their lifestyles were fast and independent. Sometimes I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. One day, in my university class, the professor asked us to share our opinions on a topic. I spoke softly, carefully choosing my words. After class, a girl came to me and said, "You need to speak louder, be more confident. This is America." I smiled politely, but inside I thought, confidence is not always about being loud. The hardest time came when I got sick in winter. The cold wind had been biting my face for days, and one morning I woke up with a fever. I felt weak, my throat hurt, and my body ached. I needed to see a doctor, but I had no health insurance. When I checked the fee, I was shocked. It was more than my weekly salary. I stayed in bed for 3 days, drinking tea and eating instant noodles, waiting for my body to heal. That was the day I truly understood. America is not perfect. One Sunday morning, when I was finally feeling better, I went for a walk in Central Park. The trees were bare, the winter air was crisp, and children were playing in the distance. Couples walked hand in hand, some laughing, some quietly enjoying the peace. I sat on a wooden bench and closed my eyes. I thought about my journey. I came here believing I would find paradise. Instead, I found reality. And reality is never perfect. Happiness, I realized, is not about where you live. It is about how you live. Yes, America gave me hard lessons. Life here is expensive. Loneliness is real. The rich and the poor live side by side. Dreams are not handed to you. You must fight for them. But America also taught me important things. How to be independent. How to work hard for my goals. How to respect different cultures and viewpoints. How to survive even when life gets tough. Now, when my friends back in India ask me, "Is America as perfect as they say?" I smile and answer, "America is like any other place. It has light and it has darkness. The dream is real, but so is the struggle." I tell them, if you are planning to come here, don't expect magic. Expect challenges. Expect to work harder than ever before. And if you are strong, patient, and wise, you will find your place. My name is Alisha. I am 23 years old. I came to America to chase my dream. I found beauty, and I found pain. I discovered that the real dream is not about living in America. It's about living with courage, hope, and an open heart, no matter where you are. That's my story. And maybe it's also the story of many others who left their homes for a better life, only to discover that every place has its own dark side.